Okay, we were discussing Machlokes in Rabbi and the Chachamim. Rabbi says the city has a karfif. The Chachamim said they only said a karfif between two cities. In the Shittas of Chachamim, that they only said a karfif between two cities doesn't mean one karfif between two cities or two karfafos between two cities. Said Chia Barabba means one. Said Chia Rabba means one. Said Rav Huna it means two. Okay, so and now we're going to ask on Rav Huna. We're on Nun Zayin Amid Beis. Let's start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines from the top. Tanan. V'chein shlosh kfarim hamishulashim. 3 cities, they are triplicate. Im yesh bein shnayim hachitzonim meya v'arboim ba'achas. If there is between the 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, if the distance of what? In between the 2 outer ones, a distance of 143. Between 1 and 3, there's 141 amma v'shlish and a third. Then the city in between makes them as 1. The reason we're going to count them as 1 is because there's a middle city. Now, since there's a middle city, so it's going to be 70 2/3 between 2 cities. In other words, guys, I'm going to have city, 70 2/3, city, 70 2/3. That seems to be the Mishnah. So I have 3 cities. In between the 2 cities is 70 2/3. But if it would just be 141 and a third, if it would just be 141 and a third, it would not work. Not like Rav Huna. Like Rav Huna, you have again, you have 70 2/3 and 70 2/3. Rav Huna, even without the city, it should work. Let us say, let him say loy. Let us say tiyufta Rav Huna. Let's say it's an upshlag on Rav Huna. So I'm like Rav Huna. Rav Huna will say, hoyitmar Allah, Amar Rava Ravada, Amar Rav Chanina, loy mishulash mamish. You don't have 3 cities mamish. Elaroyin, we view it as is kol sheilu, anyone matalem soy beineihem, anyone that you can place in between him. Okay, let's look at I think I did this right this time. There you go. Here's what we're speaking about. We're speaking about you went ahead and you have a city over here. You don't mamish have a city over here. You mamish don't have a city over here. But again, if you would have a city over here, then it would be good, even though you have 2 karfifos here, right? You have 70 2/3 plus 70 2/3 here, and 70 2/3 over here. This is Rav Huna's din. Says Rav Huna, 1 city, 2 city, each one has its own karfif. 1 city, 2 city, each one has its own karfif. So the Mishnah is not speaking where you do have a city over here, and it's 70 2/3 over here and 70 2/3 over there. It's speaking, you have this distance and this distance. So even though this area is too large for it to be this one city, nonetheless, if this is over here, then we're going to view it as 1 city. You'll start from here and you'll start from here. That's what the Gemara is saying. Amalei Rava Labaya, Kami Yeheben Chitzay Lemtsoi. What's the distance between the Chitzay Lemtsoi? As we just saw, right? The distance over here you have is 2,000 amas. That's the distance. Okay. So going all the way back, I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to lose this, but I could show you. In a case where this is more than 2,000, you said you begin from not the arch, you begin from the bow. When it's 2,000, you begin from the bow. So what's the difference over there by the bow, where you, even though it was more than 2,000, you allowed it, and over here where it has to be within 2,000? Why don't we view this the same, guys, as the bow? And the bow, you said, even if this is 2,000, you begin from here. Why over here do we say it has to be 2,000 in order to be considered part of the city? Right? By the bow, again, by the bow, if it's possible to guys to try to get in on time, it's appreciated everybody coming, but if you try to get in on time, it really makes a more geschmack because I'm not so good with this.
Didn't we say by the bow that they can walk down to the bottom of the mountain?
Okay, hang in there. So watch. By the bow, you agreed by the bow that even though this distance is more than 2,000, that you begin not from the bow counting the tchum, you begin from here. So why by the city over here you're saying it has to be within 2,000? Why does it have to be within 2,000 over there? This is great. Anyway.
Didn't we say by the bow because they could walk around the whole semicircle?
Okay, that's what Shalom just said. Okay, hang in there. Okay, let's see it inside. It says you said you let me just mute this. Okay. So, but says the Gemara, you're the one that said that the halach is like Rava, the son of Rav Huna, Mistabra, right? That you're going to start from the bowstring, even though it's more than 2,000. So there are houses, and those houses allowed you, as Chaim and as Shalom Kagan just said, they allowed you access to the bottom of the bow. So it's a svara to say that since you can go from that bottom of the bow to the top of the bow, it's one city, because you're mamish at the border right there where the fictional bowstring is going to be. Over here in this fictitious virtual house that we want to fit in, there is no actual button there. Mainly you need 2,000. Good? Very, very geschmack difference. What's the distance, the greatest distance between one house and the other house that they can be considered as one? What do you mean, Kama Yehi? Who cares how far apart they are? Another, you have this scenario, right, guys? Gemara is asking now, what's the distance between this and this? What's the greatest distance between this and this that can be considered one village, one big city? Who cares how the distance is? As long as you're going to place something in over here, and the distance is going to be this and this, it works. So who cares? Initially, who cares? The question of them being one or not, it depends upon this ability to go ahead and insert this in here and have a distance of less than this or less than this. So what are you telling me? What are you asking me a question that seems to be a moot point, right? We don't care the distance that is now. All we care about is after you insert that middle guy, that there should be more of a distance of 141 and a third on each side. So that's what he says. What are you asking me? So says the Gemara, Va'afilu dala alof amma. So Rabbi said, even if there'll be 4,000 amas between the two outer villages, it'll be considered what? One city, even when you insert that the middle one in between? Amalayin? Yeah. He said, yeah, yeah. It would be. It would be. If a city is made like a bow, if there's less than 2,000 amas at both ends, then you're going to count from the what? The tchum from the bowstring. Again, we're going to say they overlap, right? And we're going to count from the bowstring. Then lav, but if there's more than 4,000, then we measure from the bow itself, not from the string, right? So why by there do we consider the distance, guys? When you have, I think I have this, this we have over here also. Let's get this up here. Right? You tell me over here, if it's more than 4,000, we're going to count from here. So why would we consider this one village, this one village, and you put one in between, and you say it's going to be all considered one village. Why is that? Why by the boasting? Why don't we say, just like by the boasting, if it's more than 4,000, it's not considered one? Why over here we consider it as one? Amalei, Abaye told Rabbi, Asam lekla male. In the case of the bowstring, we can't say that we're filling it in because there's nothing in there. Hacha ikla male. But over here, even though the distance is more than 4,000, there is to say we put in another village. This is for male, so therefore that's the difference. Over there wasn't any housing over there. Therefore, it's considered two separate tchumim, 2,000 here, 2,000 here. Mashenkin over here, where in fact, they're going to take a whole village and stick it in, so we're irrelevant. Even if it's more than 4,000, we don't care as long as it's not more than 141 and a third on the side. Okay, going back to the din of the Mishnah, we said that two cities, according to if as long as there's 141, it's considered Rav Huna, it's considered the same city, right? And the Mishnah said you have two cities, and the cities in between are 70 and 2/3 apart, and 70 and 2/3, or 141 and a third. Then we'll consider them one city. So now we have a halacha situation, a ma'isa that happened. Amar Rav Safra l'Rava, Hare b'nei Akistavin. There was a town called Akistavin. The moshchan lehu tchuma mehai gisa the Ardarsha. They would draw their tchum from the side of the Ardarsha. Ubnei the Ardarsha, and the people live in Ardarsha, mashchinan lehu tchuma mehai gisa the Akistavin. In other words, guys, here, look at my fingers. This is Akistavin, this is Ardarsha. We're going to consider them one city, that the people who lived here will start the tchum from over here, and the people who lived here will start the tchum from over here, correct? We're going to see the distance in between them was greater than 141 and a third. So how can they be considered one city? In order to draw your over here and over here, it's got to be considered one city, correct? Yet in Mitzias, these two places, there was a greater expanse between them than 141 and a third, and nonetheless, they considered themselves one city to go ahead and draw them from that side and them from this side. Says Gemara, Ha'ika Diglas, you have the Tigris River, the Mifsaka Yasser Yosem Imeya Ba'abav Achas Shlish. Says Gemara, enough of Afterlay. Rav went out and he showed of Safra, Hadich at Masa de Shura, the city walls, the Mivli Bediglas that are in the Diglas, but Ayin Amma B'Shirayim. They're all 70 and a fraction apart. Okay, I have one picture to show you. A picture. Here's one extivis, and here's the other place. This Diglas, the Tigris, is more than 141 across. So really, this tchum should be counted from their tchum should be counted from here, and their tchum in the other direction should be counted from there. Yet we're going to say if they want to start out and count from this side, and if they want to start out, they can count from that side. What's the difference? Take a look in the river, guys. You see this aleph? You see this aleph? You see this aleph? You see this aleph? These are all 70 and 2/3. So it's considered 70 2/3 over here, and then they have 70 2/3 over here. And so therefore, this all makes it like one big cholent. It makes it into one city. That's what you're gaining over here. It makes it into what? Into one city. Good? Everyone's good? Okay, very excellent. Mishnah. Now we've been discussing tchumim. We're going to discuss now the physical, practical, if you will, way to go ahead and measure. So in a perfect world, you take your measuring thing and you measure 2,000 amas. So we're going to see they used a rope of 50 amas exact, not more, not less. The problem is when you got to an area that you couldn't go ahead, it wasn't level. It either was a valley or it was a mountain, it was a river. I mean, what do you do over there? So we're going to see there are three possibilities. Obviously, the obvious possibility is to go straight, linear, right? That's the easiest way out. Another possibility is what I called havla. You just go over it. You don't, in other words, you get to a valley, you don't go down to the valley, you just go across the valley. What that is, we'll just go across the expanse at the top. That's called havla. We'll swallow it up. There's something called mikadrin. Mikadrin is a very, very unique way. I'll show you the picture of what mikadrin is. It's also a kula. These are kulas. Again, these last two ways are big kulas to go ahead and measure other than the way. So here's the 50 rope. That's a classic measurement. Notice you measure from your chest, not one person up, one person down. Here's your case of havla, right? You're being mavliya. You don't go down into it, you just go across it. Hey, where's my Makadran guy? Where's that guy? There he is. Here's Makadran. One guy goes over here, chest, and this rope is 4 amas. So here you're not putting it directly down over here. You're being Makadran that way. So these are different ways, and this is what we're going to be under discussion. Bez Hashem, okay? It's a nice respite after yesterday. Guys, you got yesterday, you should get it. It's a classic. All it is 4 equations. 9 into 36, 8 into 32, 4 into 16. That's what you ended up with. Okay, anyway. You go ahead and you go, when you measure with a chevel lot of nun amma. A chevel, that is what? That is 50. Not greater, not less. And we're going to see why. And when they hold the rope, they should hold it connected their hearts. If they're measuring and they come to a valley, or to a pile of stones, we're going to see each one would hold the string and lift it up over the pile and be mavliya the pile. Mavliya, you're mavliya. And then you go back to the midah. Okay, I'd like to spend a little time on this. Let me back it up.
Yeah, these measurements in Egla Rufa, no?
Yes. Only you're not mavliya in Egla Rufa, as we'll see, because that's the Raisa. Okay, let me make this smaller. Okay, now, let's say you're over here, you're leaving the city, you come to here. Havla is not possible over here, correct? Because your rope is only 50, and this expanse is much greater. So what you do is you go to a place where the rope can go across, like over here. You see the 50 mark? Then from here you go straight. Then you go back to where you would have been had you gone straight over here. Guys, good? You see what you're doing? 50 doesn't go across over here. So I find the locale, that 50 over here, I got my locale is 50. I measure at this locale the distance till I get to the place where I want to go. There you go. And now that's now obviously that's 800, that's 1,000, and that's 200. So it's a total of 2,000 right there. Higia lahar, you get to a mountain, mavliya. You go ahead and you're mavliya the mountain. Again, obviously it can't be such a big mountain if you're going ahead and being, either you can go to the side of it or over it, and then you go back to your normal measuring place. The person measuring can't go outside the tchum. We're going to see, we want him inside the tchum, that people shouldn't mistakenly think the surveyor is outside. That in fact is the tchum Shabbos. So when he measures, he's got to be inside the tchum, because the person watching may see when he's measuring outside, In other words, he's out of bounds. They're going to think that's inbounds, right? That's the best way to put it. He's out of bounds. They're going to think he's inbounds. Now, let's say you can't use havla, the kula of havla. That you use that method of mekadrin, the foot to chest for amis method, use that. So it comes out that there's really four ways. Three are mentioned and one isn't mentioned. Obviously, the normal way, you just measure linear, havla, where you just go over. Mekadrin, literally mekadrin means making a hole. You're using this 4 amma foot to chest method. And then there's something called omed, where you go ahead and just estimate. Omed, just imagine, estimate. You just estimate, and we'll see when that's done. That's the discussion of today's daf. So Menoni Mili, how do you know that a rope is 50? How do you know rope is 50? So I'm Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, the Amakra, Oirich HaChatzer, the length of the Chatzer of the Mishkan was Meir Ba'ama, the Roichev Chamishim B'Chamishim, and its width was 50-50. Now, it didn't have to say the second 50. So Amr Torah, B'Chevel Shel Chamishim Ama Madoid. It's telling you the extra 50 that when you go measure using what? A rope of 50. Now, you probably all remember the famous picture where we took the 50, we broke it down into 4 strips, put it around the square, and then added the other way around. So therefore, if I needed for that, in other words, I needed to make a dira of 70 2/3. Guys, we know the hook of the dira is from 50-50. So since I need the 50 for that, how could I use it to teach me a rope of 50? Says, take the 50, the square of 50, and then take the other square of 50, break it down, and surround that. If you remember, we took 4 squares of 10, put them around, and then we took the other one, we broke it up, and we put that in the corners, and then we put the rest around. And came lemakra chamishim. My chamishim with the extra base, b'chamishim. Shmamina tarti from me over here. What? 2 things. We had 2 halachas. One about getting the area of that's hook of ladira of 70 2/3, and secondly, you use a rope of 50. Again, it's very easy to say this Gemara is going according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva that tchum madaraisa. You're bringing psukim. Menoni mili. How do you know you measure with a rope of 50? The umazeh, the mitzvah to say that tchum madarabanon, the cross smach the ba'almahu, and the chachamim found psukim in that they can go ahead and be somech their psak on. So guys, I think we're all on the same page, right? Everyone's good here, yeah? We're all good. Says the Gemara, loipochas loyaiser, you take a rope of 50, not more than not less. Tana, loipochas mipnei shemarbe, not less than 50 because you're going to increase. When you have a rope that's not, you're going to pull it very tight. So since I'll pull it very tight, I'll end up with a bigger watt, more than I bargained for. For loyaiser, not bigger than, not less than 50 and not more than 50, because when it's more than 50, I guess it'll be heavy and you won't stretch it as much. So Ravasi, a moidin el b'chevel shel apaskima. You should use a chevel that's made from a paskima. I'm sure you're all wondering, why a paskima? Rav Abba, gargila. Okay, that explains things. Says Gemara, my gargila. Rav Yaakov, dikla dechad nevara. It's a dikla of 1 vine. It's a kind of thread that goes around the infamous sieve of a palm tree. They use this for a lot of stuff. So this one was from a single vine. It seemed to make a rope that was not too taut and not too loose. Ikadi Amri, it's a machloikis. According to this, we said it's the same thing. Apiskama and nargila is the same thing. Here it's a machloikis. My apiskama, Rav Abba Amr is nargila, Yaakov Amr dikla dechad navra. So it's a machloikis what it is. Tanya Amr Yishuv ben Levi. Ein lecha sheyafel lemedida yosim mishal shel shel barzel. You want to get an exact measurement, use an iron chain. Iron is not flexible, and thus it doesn't move more than it is. If you want to be exact, use iron. You can't pull it too tight, and you can't be too loose, right? That would make sense. Use an iron chain. What can we do? The Torah says, Ubiyodoi chevel mida. This is speaking about the third bias, and in his hand is the chevel of measurement. You see the measurement of chevel. A kesiv, and it says by the chesko ubiyara ish kinei hamida, and the hands that are measuring a stick. So you see that you don't use a chevel, you use a stick. And that my answers hahu l'tiroi. Measuring the stick is l'tiroi. Guys, very much in Aramaic, very often you take a tuf and make it into a shin, and then it makes like a little sense. So over here, you look at l'tiroi, you put a shin over there, and it can become share or shrei, it becomes a gate. Talga is snow, sheleg is snow, tani is shnei is two. So there, tanina, shnina, it's the shin very often takes the place of the tuf. That would explain things. Rabbi Rosenzweig, you look like you wanted to say something.
And this is the joke. That's why in the NFL they use chains to measure the 10 yards.
I didn't think that was a joke. I think that's like the best Torah I've heard in a long time. I think you're right. Benji, good gesagt, huh?
I think the one in the Jet games is a little longer.
There goes the recording. You better delete that, Steve.
No, there's Steve George Rogers Geller talking.
Jet games all seem longer.
You're making a mistake. They never have to measure because it's clear they didn't make it. Speak like a lamdan, okay? When you use a chain, it's mashmois that's being close, Steve. Obviously not. Okay. Steve, again, make fun of the Jets. We will call you proverbial George Rogers, bringing back memories of the stupidest draft in NFL history. Okay, says the Gemara Vayta. Tani Rabbi Yosef. So, Tani Rabbi Yosef, Shloisha Chavalim Hain. There are 3 ropes. One that you hang yourself with. No. There are 3. There are 3 ropes. Simchas Yantav, why not? There are 3 types of ropes. Haim Shel Chavalim Hain. Shel Magog, which are reeds. Shel Netzer, which is kind of peeled aravos. Shel Pishton is what? Is linen. Shel Magog is lepara. They would tie up the paraduma because this rope is not the kabel tuma. That nan kaftua bechevel. They would tie up the paraduma hamagog with magog. And they put it on top of the ma'aracha. It's very interesting because the ropes are not makabel tuma anyway. It says it's an extra. By paraduma, we're so machmir when it comes to Tumah V'Taira. We go even we go to the extent of a chamishi, because by paraduma the tzedaikim, I don't know, or just the idea. It's a good idea to know. Tzedaikim held that the paraduma at full yom can't be isaac in the paraduma, and we held after he could. So we the tamer a guy. We isaac in the paraduma. So to avoid further leniencies in Tumah by paraduma, we go to the crazy extent. When the Siya Gemara and Yuma, to deal with the paraduma, they would raise kids on rocks. That never there was a shiloh of Tumas Tahoim that there was any Tumah underneath. They raised the kid on a rock, a baby, from the time to be Isaac paraduma. I could take the level of shmira that they kept. So over here, it seems that this rope is like mahadrim and mahadrin, that it's not a kabel Tumah. It continues the Gemara. Shall nitzarim, this peeled arabais, is l'saita. That the isha saita, they would undo do her dress to hold it up. To hold up a dress. Shall pishton is lamedida. The one made of linen is for measuring. So this Rabbi Yosef is arguing on Ravasi. Ravasi didn't say it was linen. Ravasi said it was some type of extract of the palm tree. Over here, we're saying the rope that you used was a linen rope, correct? So it's a Rashi says that he's arguing on what he said previously. That's what type of rope you use to measure the 2,000 amas, the tchumen. He said if he was Moidir V'Gia and he reached a place, fellas, that he couldn't make it across. So what do? Use Mavliya. Now, Mavliya, let's say you can't be Mavliya. So we say Chayzelim Kaimoy. When it says you chayzer to where he's supposed to be measuring, we can infer. Now, I showed you that picture. That picture was not stated in the Mishnah. The Mishnah simply said that chayzer l'midasai. I showed you the picture that explained it. Here, the brisa is elaborating upon the Mishnah. Okay, what's he saying? That what? That if you get to a spot which is the expanse is too great to go ahead and cover with the 50 amma rope because it's larger than 50 amma. Walk over to a place where you could be mavliya, like we showed in the picture, the place where it reaches 50. Then you look keneged the midah where the spot would be, the chayzer, and you go back. As much as I think about it, you have a laser, there is no problem. We get a very, very, very exact tchum. As much as that, you really get those lasers are amazing. The surveyors use these lasers; they're amazing at kadei kach to mamish nano.
They probably do They probably do with GPS, for the big things, anyways.
GPS, they'll use GPS. They'll end up in the valley. They'll go straight down. Says the Gemara, Tanina Lahad Rabbanon. This is what we learned here is substantiated in a brisa. Hayamoide begia amido. The guy gets to a valley. He's measuring, and the survey gets to the guy. Im yachal avliyoi bechevel shel chamishim amma mavliyoi. V'im lav hoylech l'makim sheyachal avliyoi. Go to a place where you're able to go ahead and measure. Go to a place where you're able to measure. Umavliyoi. It's cipher. Then look. The chayzel midasai to the place where you should have been, as we saw. Now, im hayagai mu'ukim. Okay, let me give you a picture. Okay, here's a guy Mu'ukum. Here's a valley that is Mu'ukum. Okay, you guys got a picture, right? You're over here, you start measuring, Safin. You're Mavliya over here. Now go, right? So here we're going to go ahead, instead of using this method of being Mavliya and finding the place Midah, here we're going to be Makadran. See, that's Makadran. You see that's the 4 Amos. You see the little guys there? What they're doing, that's the 4 Amish job. The foot to the chest, the foot to the chest, the foot to the chest, the foot to the chest. Says the Gemara inside, if the guy is crooked, the valley is crooked, you're going up, you're going down to make the measurement. If you get to the kaisel, you don't say you make a hole in the kaisel, you evaluate. So what are you doing? As I told you, sometimes there are rare occasions where you'll evaluate. So why is one case you're speaking about you're going to be mavliyoi and the other one you're going to be oimed? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you the difference. Over there, it's easy to go ahead. The slope is not so high. It's easy to go ahead and use it. Since it's easy to use, you'll be mavliyoi. Over here, where you're going to go ahead, and it's very hard to go ahead and use, you're going to go ahead and be omed, you're going to go ahead and evaluate because of its difficulty in its usage. Guys, hard to use this wall, right? So we're going to, we'll evaluate as if you go right through the wall. That's going to be an evaluation. Here, where it's easy to use, there mavliya, then you'll be mavliya. Then you go ahead and you will use the havla method of swallowing it up. Guys, it's an easy Gemara, right? Everyone's clear? It's just a piece of cake. And Gemara Baruch Hashem, just nice Gemara. Says the Gemara Vaita, Amar Shmuel, so I still remember we learned this Gemara many, many years ago, and we had a contractor in Shir named Rabbi Weinrib. He used to be a contractor until he became a cook, right? And then he used to be a cook till he became a winemaker. But it's a guy of Rabbi Weinrib in Shir. And he said if you have a chut mishkalos and he said, "Oh, look who's there! The brisket is alive." Avrami, remember you told us about the plumb line? Avrami.
It was years and years and years ago.
Yeah, but it's only like the second time you opened your mouth and share, not to talk about food. Now says the Gemara, Avrami taught us what a plumb line is, right? Avrami, you want to tell us what a plumb line is?
I don't know, I haven't used it in years. We don't
But
use
you know what it is.
Yeah, but we don't use it anymore. Now it's all laser. Not literally. But the plumb line is a string with a weight at the bottom that gives you the straight line.
It gives you a straight line, okay? So if the wall, fellas, watch. If the wall is a straight line, you're going to go into the valley, and in other words, you can't go use any of the methods over here on the wall. You can't be makaded a wall, right? So what you do is you're going to go. We're going to go down over here in the valley and count linear. In other words, a straight wall going down will not go ahead and take away from the tchum, even if it's up till 4 amis. In other words, if it goes beyond 4 amis, then we'll go ahead and be makadrin. If it's as long as it's within 4 amis and the plumb line hits, then we're going to go ahead and say that you're going to go straight. You're going to go straight. I'll show you a picture of it over here.
That measurement doesn't count towards the tchum, correct?
Here you go. If this over here, he's putting a line down over here. If this area is this less than, if it's more than 4 amis, then we're going to go ahead and use makadrin down the wall. If it's not 4 amis, then we're going to go ahead and we won't be mafliya. We're going to expect you to go down here and start counting from here. Okay, you got it? That's what we're going to do. So Amashmu lo shanu that in makadrin, lo shanu that we use that foot chest method of 4 amis. El she'ein chura mishkalos yored kenegdai. Is only if the plumb line does not go down kenegdai. Aval chura mishkalos, but if the plumb line, literally a chut, a string, hamishkalos that has a weight at the other end of it. Yored kenegdo goes straight down. Moididai medida yafa. You're going to go ahead and you will not have the leniency of Mikadrin, but you're going to have to count a Medida Yafa, an exact Medida. Says the Gemara, V'kama Unka Shel Gai, that you'll say Mikadrin. What's the depth of the valley that you'll say you go overcome it and you don't go down into the valley? Rav Yosef Alpayim. As long as the valley is less than 2,000, like Own Tchum, then you'll be Mavliya. Once it gets more than 2,000, you will not. Then you'll have to be Makadrin. Then you'll have to go down. Esli Abaya, Omek Kuf, if it's 100 amis deep, for Roichev Nun, and it's 50 amis wide, Mavliyoi, Vimlav, and if it's more than that, a Mavliyoi. If it's more than that, right, it's wider than 50, or deeper than that, a Mavliya. But you told me you'll be Mavliya up to 2,000. Here we see you'll be Mavliya much less. Even 101, you'll right. Even 101, you won't be mavliya, right? So how can you go ahead and say, Rabbi Yosef say 2,000? We have a brisa that says what? 101. It says Mahudam Kacherim. Rabbi Yosef has said 2,000 holds like Acherim. Acherim is Rav Meir according to Acher. Rav Meir according to Acher is Rav Meir. The Tanya. Acherim Moimim Afilu Omek Alpayim, even if it's 2,000 deep. So there you go, guys. There's your share. Ikadi army, Rav Yosef, afilu yesamei alfayim. Even more than 2,000, you'll be mavliyah. Kiman, the like Tanakama who said what 2,000, the like Acherim who said 101, the like Acherim who said 2,000. Says over there, the machloikus was when the churim b'shaleshes did not go down, so you had hacha the churim b'shaleshes yored kenegdai. Over here, we're saying that the plumb line goes all the way down. So we'll allow you to be mavliya up to even more than 2,000. Says the Gemara. In other words, as I told you already before, that the 4 amis, as long as the 4 amis project out, will allow you Dalit amis of going out. Higia lahar mavliya b'chayz lemidasai. Amar Rav Shanu ela bahar mislakid yud b'tech dalid. It goes up 1/4. The slope it's 1/4. Aval bahar mislakid yud b'tech hey moedem medidayafa. That if it's not so steep, right? It goes 1 to b'tech hey. Then you a normal medida. Afun b'eder nasan masti lakula. Amar Rav Shanu ela bahar mislakid asar b'tech chamesh. Then you could do havla. Aval b'chada mislakid asar b'tech dalid. Oimdoi b'hoylachloi. 1 in 4, you don't even have to do anything. You're just going to evaluate it. Just estimate. What's the reason you go outside the tchum? What's the problem? So I'm Kahana they're going to say, they're going to see the surveyor outside. They're going to say that's how far it is. We spoke that out. Many we said, what do? You Makadrin. Tanarban and Kates Makadrin. So funny. We went through a whole Gemara. Now you're meeting it now, right? Kates Makadrin. So Tachtan Keneged Liboy, the bottom one Keneged his heart. Elyon Keneged Margaloisav, and the upper one Keneged his feet. Amar Rabbi Naktina and following Messiah. Aim Makadrin El Bechevel Shel Arba Amis, only 4 Amis. Amar Nachman Amar Ravua, taking Naktina and another Messiah. Benji brought this in. Aim Makadrin Loy Egla Rufa. Egla Rufa is the Raisa. You find a dead body between 2 cities. You have to go ahead and wait, and the dead body, the city that's closer has to be an egel to the Nachleson, not the place the murder was found, but a place of unworked ground. You have to decapitate it. How do you measure which city is closer? You use what? Not the measure of Makadrin. For Loibari Mikla, the 2,000 Amos around the Yard Mikla, because they made their Raisa. I wish you all a good evening. I thank you for listening. A good Moya to all. See you, Bez Hashem, same time tomorrow.
Blaze, Zoom from now on. So for how long, Blaze?
What?
Zoom for how